Chapter 1, Realms Collide. The sun is shining down on Nexus Academy as Arcturus, Prince of the Realm of Light, steps off the carriage and onto the cobblestone path leading to the boys' dormitories. He has a lean build and wavy blonde hair that falls over his forehead. His bright blue eyes take in the structure before him with a mix of excitement and apprehension, as he surveys the grand buildings and lush gardens. He had been looking forward to attending Nexus Academy for years, but now that the moment has arrived, he can't help but feel nervous. As Arcturus walks towards the dormitories, he feels a sense of awe and excitement. The academy is located on the border of the Nexus, the mystical center of all magic. It is said that the Nexus is the source of all elemental magic and that those who study here can unlock its full potential. As he approaches the school, Arcturus observes its surroundings closer. A forest of towering trees. The air thick with the scent of wildflowers and the distant sound of a waterfall. The school itself is a grand structure made of glistening white stone, with tall spires and intricate carvings. It is clearly designed to impress, with its grandiose architecture and expansive gardens. Beyond the school and the forest, Arcturus can see the multicolored glowing energy of the heart of the Nexus, pulsing in the distance. It is a constant reminder of the power that gives all the realms their magic. It is the reason why he and the other students are here. The academy is a place where royals and dignitaries from every realm gather, to master their respective elements and build alliances with the future leaders of the other realms. The courtyard in front of the boys' dormitory building is small but well manicured, with neatly trimmed hedges and flower beds bursting with colorful blooms. As Arcturus walks across the courtyard, he spots a group of students gathered near the fountain. He recognizes Prince Zephyr of Aeolia, the realm of air, easily identifiable by his flamboyant clothing and wild purple hair. He's surrounded by a group of giggling girls. Prince Kairos of Nauticus, the realm of water, is standing on the outskirts of the group, his arms crossed over his chest as he observes the scene with a slight frown. Arcturus approaches them, trying to ignore the flutter in his stomach at the sight of Prince Kairos. Kairos is a tall and muscular young man with dark skin. His sleek black hair styled in a way that suggests practicality and functionality, while his piercing dark eyes convey an intense, focused intelligence. A few scars are visible on his face and arms. He holds himself with a quiet dignity and an air of authority, despite his youth. Arcturus has heard that the prince is one of the most brilliant minds in the academy, and he is eager to learn from him.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Arcturus greets them with a polite bow. Zephyr turns his attention to Arcturus, a flirtatious grin spreading across his face.
What do we have here? Another handsome prince to add to our collection.
Kairos rolls his eyes, but Arcturus can see a hint of amusement in his expression.
Please ignore him, Prince Arcturus. Zephyr has a habit of flirting with everyone.
Zephyr places a hand on his chest, feigning offense.
I'm Arcturus. I'm just trying to make our new friend feel welcome.
Zephyr stands tall with his head held high, a confident smirk on his face. His hair is a vibrant shade of purple, styled in a wild, windswept fashion. He wears colorful clothing that billows in the breeze, almost as if it's an extension of his power as a wind caller. His movements are carefree and fluid, as if he is constantly dancing with the air around him. The Air Prince extends a hand towards Arcturus.
Welcome to the Nexus Academy, where magic is in the air and anything can happen, especially if I have anything to do with it.
Arcturus raises a pale eyebrow, his face betraying mild amusement.
I don't believe I've had the pleasure of meeting someone as colorful as you before.
He replies, a small smile tugging at the corners of his lips.
I'm Arcturus, Prince of Solaris.
Zephyr flashes a playful grin at Arcturus.
I think you'll find there are plenty of colorful characters around here, but I'm certainly the brightest of the bunch,
he says with a wink. At that, the Light Prince can't help but to glance around at the other students. He focuses in on one group standing around a boy with red hair. He carries himself with a confident swagger, his movements flashy and full of energy. His clothing is equally bold and daring, with bright colors and patterns that catch the eye.
If you think that's impressive, you should see what I can do with my hands.
The boy finished, a smug grin on his face. The group erupts in laughter, but Arcturus can't help but roll his eyes. He recognizes the boy as Blaze, a Perithian prince from the Fire Realm, known for his arrogance and showboating. Arcturus's attention is drawn to a figure standing off to the side of the courtyard, observing the other students from a distance. A tall and lean boy with sandy brown hair that falls messily across his forehead. His eyes are a bright green and his skin is tanned and dusted with freckles, a testament to his time spent outdoors. He wears simple clothes, a plain tunic and trousers that have clearly seen better days. The boy looks nervous and a bit uncomfortable, his gaze darting around the courtyard as if he's not quite sure where to look. Unlike some of the more flashy and confident students, this boy seems to be almost trying to blend into the background. Arcturus notices he is absent-mindedly playing with a small rock, turning it over and over in his hand as if seeking some kind of comfort or reassurance from it. There is a quiet, contemplative air about him that is in stark contrast to the boisterous and flashy personalities of some of the other students. Zephyr notices Arcturus observing the other students and grins.
If you're looking for the most flashy guy in the courtyard, that's Blaze,
he says, gesturing to the red-haired student chatting animatedly with the group of people.
And the quiet one over there, that's Caden. He's a Geocan or a vine shaper, can't remember which. Keeps to himself most of the time.
Arcturus glances over at Caden, taking in the shy demeanor of the other student. He feels a twinge of sympathy for him, recognizing the feeling of being out of place in a new environment. But he isn't sure how to approach him, and decides to focus on getting settled in himself first.
Thanks for the introductions,
he says to Zephyr. Arcturus bows in farewell to the two princes and then walks towards the main entrance of the school building. As the Solaran prince enters the foyer, he is greeted by the sight of a sweeping staircase leading to the upper floors, and a chandelier hanging from the high ceiling, casting a warm light on the polished wooden floor. To the right of the foyer is a small common room, filled with plush sofas and armchairs arranged around a crackling fireplace. A few students are lounging there, chatting and playing games. To the left of the foyer, a hallway leads to the various dorm rooms. As he walks down the hallway, Arcturus glances at the names on each door, searching for his own. When he finally finds it, he smiles in relief. He's been paired with his childhood friend Orion, from the realm of light. Arcturus opens the door to their shared room and steps inside. The room is small but cozy, with two twin beds pushed against the walls on opposite sides of the room. There are small desks in the corner and dressers beside them. The walls are painted a pale yellow, and a large window looks out onto the courtyard below. Arcturus sets his bags down on the bed nearest to the window and takes a deep breath. He's nervous about starting at Nexus Academy, but he's glad to have his friend with him, though it seems he hasn't arrived yet. The Light Prince decides to head outside and take in the scenery some more. As he turns a corner towards the gardens, he collides with something hard. Looking up, he finds another boy staring down at him. The boy is tall and lean, with sharp features and pale skin. His hair is jet black and falls in sleek, angular strands around his face. His eyes are a piercing, icy blue, and seem to glint with a calculating intelligence. He is dressed in black robes that hang from his slender frame, and the silver crest of Umbrium is emblazoned on the chest. They are a stark contrast to Arcturus's own lighter robes. But there is an air of danger and darkness that seems to surround him. Arcturus can feel his own unease growing as he meets the other's intense gaze. There is something about this boy that makes him feel both drawn to and repulsed by him at the same time. Arcturus can feel the intensity of his gaze as they lock eyes for a moment. He realizes that he is standing in front of the Prince of Umbrium, Vesper.
Hello,
Arcturus says, feeling a little awkward in the presence of the Prince of the Realm of Darkness. Arcturus notices the way Vesper's eyes flicker over him, assessing him with a critical eye. He tries to ignore the slight discomfort that settles in the pit of his stomach, telling himself that it's just because Vesper is from Umbrium, and they've always had an uneasy relationship with Solaris.
You're the Solaran prince, aren't you?
He asks, his voice low and measured. Arcturus nods, his unease growing.
Yes, that's right.
Vesper gives him a small smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes.
Interesting. I didn't think they'd send someone like you to Nexus Academy.
Arcturus bristles at the implied insult.
What do you mean by that?
Vesper turns his head and meets Arcturus's eyes.
Just what I said.
He replies coolly.
I've always found the Solarans to be naive and idealistic, always fighting for some grand, abstract cause, instead of dealing with the harsh realities of the world.
Arcturus takes a step forward, feeling the urge to defend his realm and his people.
We're not naive.
He retorts.
We're fighting for a better world, for justice and equality. That's not an abstract cause. That's something worth fighting for.
Vesper raises an eyebrow.
Is that so? And how do you plan on achieving that utopian vision of yours?
The Light Prince opens his mouth to reply, but then hesitates. He realizes that he doesn't have a solid answer to that question. Vesper raises an eyebrow.
I thought so. You Lightweavers are all the same, so convinced of your own superiority that you can't even see how flawed your beliefs are.
Arcturus feels a flash of annoyance, but he tries to keep his composure.
I may not have a concrete answer, but I know what Solaris stands for.
He says firmly. The Umbrium Prince raises an eyebrow.
And what is that?
Arcturus takes a deep breath, gathering his thoughts.
Solaris stands for justice, truth, and protection of the innocent. We strive for peace and cooperation among the realms.
Vesper snorts.
And yet, you still look down upon Umbrium and its people. You assume that just because we practice shadow magic, we are evil.
Arcturus bristles at the accusation.
I do not assume that, but it is a fact that Umbrium has a reputation for using shadow magic for darker purposes.
Vesper's expression darkens.
And what about Solaris? Do you deny that there are Solarans who abuse their magic for their own gain?
Arcturus opens his mouth to retort, but he finds that he cannot. Vesper has a point. Arcturus shifts his weight from one foot to the other, unsure of what to say. He can feel the tension between them, the unspoken animosity that has always existed between their two realms. But he doesn't want to give up so easily. Arcturus takes a deep breath and looks at Vesper, determination written all over his face.
I know that our realms have had our differences, but that doesn't mean we can't find common ground. We're all here to learn and grow, and I think we can do that better if we work together.
Vesper scoffs.
You really believe that? That just because we're forced to be in the same school, we can suddenly put aside centuries of animosity between our realms and work together?
Arcturus squares his shoulders.
I believe that anything is possible if we're willing to put in the effort. And who knows, maybe we could even learn something from each other.
Vesper studies Arcturus for a long moment, then gives a humorless chuckle.
You're a naive one.
Arcturus feels his cheeks heat up with anger.
I'm not naive. I just believe in the power of unity and understanding.
Vesper's expression remains stoic.
Unity and understanding. Nice words, but in the end, they don't mean much. In Umbrium, we believe in power and strength. Maybe you Lightweavers are too soft to understand that.
Arcturus chafes at the insult, but before he can reply, a bell rings, signaling the start of the opening assembly. Vesper turns on his heel and starts to walk away, but then pauses and glances back at Arcturus.
We'll see how well your ideals hold up in the real world, Solaran.